like it. Great. No, I'm only kidding. We do have a few safety protocols to go before we begin our trip today. First being the no smoking or vaping is allowed here on the dock as we're sitting on about 40 gallons of fuel. Now next, can anyone locate the emergency exits for me?
All the windows.
All the windows,
You guys got
yes.
it. Front, back, side to side, and the ceiling here. Anywhere you don't see one of these steel green beams, maybe hit one, just try again. Now about these green beams, though, please keep yourself inside them as we'll be coming close to rocks and trees on today's tour. Now please remain seated for today's tour, and lastly I'm going to go over our life jackets here. Now in our over 77 years of operation here at the docks, we've never had to use one of these, and I don't plan on being the first today. But in the unlikely event we do, you're going to simply put this over your head, wrap this black strap around your ear, and you'll be able to float the Wisconsin River. We have 23 adult life vests above your heads and child life vests right here. Now lastly, before we set off, who is on their very first duck ride today?
Everybody.
Well guys, don't worry. It's my first time too.
Okay.
Awesome. You got a rookie. Hey, ready? Wala ko nung mother niya. Wala ko
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome aboard the amphibious duck New Britain. My name is Kirk and I'll be your pilot and alligator wrangler on the next 8.5 mile long journey on land, water, and if we're lucky, maybe a little in the air. Now the first point of interest on today's tour is going to be these hand-carved granite statues on the other side of the dock. These statues once stayed aboard the Chicago Building of Trade until 1932, when that building was redecorated by a stick of dynamite. These statues were then brought to the Wisconsin Dells area by Miss Helen Robb to decorate the grounds of her home, Dawn Manor. Now please keep Dawn Manor and these statues in the back of your minds as they will come up again later in the tour. So I guess what I'm trying to say here, folks, is don't take these statues for granted.
Yeah, we're gonna go in the water. Yeah, I don't know.
Now a few facts about the duck you're riding on today. New Britain was built all the way back in 1942 by General Motors in Pontiac, Michigan for a price of just $10,000. Used in World War II and the Korean War to transport troops and supplies to shore. Equipped with 4- and 6-wheel drive, coming in at 32 feet long, 8 feet 2 inches wide, 9 feet tall, and a slim and slender 7.5 tons. Kind of reminding me of my ex-girlfriend. Now New Britain is capable of 10 to 11 knots on water, 45 miles an hour on land, and just the other day hit a personal record of 250 miles an hour right off the edge of this cliff. Did we lose anybody back there? Now if at any point on today's tour you do feel yourself slipping out the side of the dock, please do yourself a favor and take somebody with you. Because I am not required to turn around for just one. you do see any wildlife on today's tour, please do your best to point it out, and I'll try and slow down so we can all get a good look. Now, on the rare occasion we do not see any wildlife on today's tour, I'll do the next best thing, take off my mic and hand it to this guy right here, where he's going to tell us all about his wildlife. Now, oh, we do have our first wildlife setting off on the left-hand side of the duck. Can everybody see that over there? Off on the left-hand side? Actually looks like a baby.
What happened?
A baby stop sign. So cute, aren't they? Oh, would you look at that? Those baby stop signs grow up so fast. Now, if everybody could please observe these danger signs on either side of the duck as we're about to enter what is considered the most dangerous part of today's tour, the S-turns. Now, us duck drivers like to take these turns pretty fast, and per new DOT regulations, I am required to have you guys reach underneath those seats. You're going to locate the red seat belts, click them above your waist, and they'll be right on our tour here. You guys see those red seat belts there?
No.
Yeah, that's how we find out who's really been in a duck tour or not. And just like that, we've descended into beautiful Ferndale. Now, you may have noticed a temperature drop down here in Ferndale, and that is for two reasons. The first reason is this lush canopy of trees atop the duck, which blocks out most of the sunlight. And the second reason is these sandstone cliffs, which locks in moisture, acting as a natural air conditioner. It can be anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees cooler down here in Ferndale than anywhere else in Wisconsin Dells. So I guess that makes you guys the coolest people in the Dells. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pacific Ocean. I know it's a little small in person, I know. Now, in all reality, it can get a little bumpy as we enter the Wisconsin River. So with your left arm, you can brace that scene in front of you. And with your right, plug your nose.
I did.
And just like that, folks, we're about to follow the Wisconsin River. I have just disengaged our wheels, and if you look to either side of the duck, you can see those wheels sinking to the bottom.
Oh God.
Now you may have noticed a brown color to the water today, and this is not due to pollution. It is actually due to tannic acid in the water. Now you may be thinking tannic acid sounds pretty harmful, but this is not the case, as it is perfectly natural and found in many things we consume on a daily basis. From tea, coffee, Coca-Cola, and even my personal favorite, a bottle of Jack Daniels. I finished right before this tour.
Huwag kang malalaglag.
Look at all those stairs and rocks. Wonder how many years it took this, like all of that to be rolled.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wave at the people.
Now up on our left, this mushroom-shaped rock is our first rock formation known as Pulpit's Rock. Now there's a little story that goes along with it. In the early 1800s, a traveling preacher would sit atop that rock delivering sermons to the Native Americans in their canoes below. Now he was pretty boring and they soon fell asleep and floated right down the river. So he went into town and bought a baby grand piano to entertain them a little more. But one day during a storm, a bolt of lightning hit that rock, splitting it in half, and sent the piano off to the right-hand side where it still lies today. Leg propped up against the rock and keys facing the heavens. Now if you look all the way to the left-hand side of the shoreline, about 50 feet up, you'll see our second and most famous rock formation of the tour, Hawk's Beak. Now if you use your imagination, that uppermost part of the rock would be the Hawk's upper beak, the lower part the Hawk's lower beak, and that rock in the middle of the Hawk's tongue. If you can stretch your imagination a little further, that upper rightmost area would be the Hawk's wing and shoulder as it flies across the Wisconsin River. For our first amphibious landing via Dell Creek. What did the fish say when it ran into a wall?
Wow.
Damn.
Look at that.
Damn. Off on the left is the W.J. Newman Dam, constructed all the way back in 1927 to hold back the roaring waters of Dell Creek, forming artificial Lake Delton just on the other side.
That's called a dam. That's not a big word to say.
All right, folks, how do we want to enter Lake Delton today? Fast or slow?
Fast.
Fast? All right. Now, do keep in mind, though, that sometimes a slight mist can come over the front of the duck here, getting myself and you guys here in the front row a little wet. But don't worry, that is nothing compared to the 5-foot tidal wave about to hit the back 2 rows. So if you guys have any personal belongings to the ground you do not want to get wet, I would suggest picking them up at this time.
Oh,
Because if they do float all the way to the front here, I get to keep them. Sell them on Facebook Marketplace. Except for small children, you guys will get those back. All right, folks, are we ready?
Siya yung cellphone mo Again!
Wasn't kidding about that tidal wave, was I?
One more time!
They're not sitting up there. Wish I would have got a picture of that.
Huh? Yeah.
So this is Lake Delton. So what we think he was talking about, we had all that rain, but people just lake empty. Like there was no water in Lake Lake. And all the water went into the river. This was all empty. What? How do I know that? Because I was alive then. It was only about 15 years ago.
I bet na-holding that.
Oh, I didn't live on this lake. If I would have lived on this lake, I would have lived there.
Now, just to give you guys a little idea where we are in Lake Delton today, that far cove off to the left is where the Tommy Bartlett Show is set to reopen next year. Just to the right of that big tan building with the green roof is Wilderness on the lake. Then just to the left of our nose here, those 2 towers is America's largest water park, Noah's Ark. And just to the right of that big fancy White House with the water slide is home to the CEO of Mount Olympus. Now, if you can imagine this entire lake flowing out of this small area in just over 2 hours,
Small house.
taking those 4 summer vacation homes right down the river with it, and narrowly missing my summer home on the left.
You think he lives in that house?
Doon tayo. Wala ka ng mabahay. Oh yeah. Oo. Pero mas maganda yung gate namin.
We have just entered beautiful Wisconsin Dells Scenic Park, home to many different types of animals, including white-tailed deer, chipmunks, squirrels, turkeys, lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! Now, if you do see any lions or bears on today's tour, please let me know, and I will do my best to swerve and hit them. Now, you may be wondering, Kirk, why would you want to hit such a majestic animal like a lion or a bear? Well, that's because all of us here at the Original Wisconsin Ducks are die-hard Green Bay Packer fans. That's right. But I don't think we'll be seeing any lions or bears on today's tour for one very important reason. Just the other day, I came out here and I painted a white goal line on the edge of the property. And we all know how much trouble lions and bears have crossing one of those. Now, do we actually have any Lions or Bears fans with us on today's tour? No? Well, you guys are lucky then. This would have been your stop. Now, do we have any roller coaster fans on today's tour?
Yes.
Yeah, alright. Well, you guys are in luck because we're about to go over Roller Coaster Hill. Did everybody like it? I'm only kidding. This is the real Roller Coaster Hill. Take that, Six Flags. We are now stopped at Last Look Point. Now, Last Look Point gets its name for 2 reasons. The first reason being that it's the last good look of the beautiful Wisconsin River we're going to get on today's tour. If you look about a mile upstream, you'll see another duck wet there and where we enter the water known as Echo Point. And the second reason it gets its name is, well, there is a 65-foot drop ahead of the duck here, and it could be the last look that any of us ever get. But don't worry, if you're scared, like I am, you can just do what I do and cover your eyes. Now I can never remember, is this a right or a left? Straight?
Yeah.
I'm only kidding. Here at the Ducks, we're always concerned about your safety, which is why just last week I installed that steel mesh barricade. Now you may be thinking, Kirk, that kind of just looks like chicken wire. Well, rest assured, Hank at the hardware store told me that if it can hold back a chicken, it most definitely will hold back a duck.
Oh, mayroon doon ano? Ano kaya yun?
Remember kayaking with Michelle?
Ano kaya yun? Hindi naman kami.
have just entered the lowlands area of today's trail, which aside from yours truly in the pilot seat, is the most beautiful part of today's tour. So I'll do you guys a favor, turn off my mic and let nature do all the talking. Now, if you remember me earlier telling you that this duck is 8 feet 2 inches wide, well, at its narrowest point here, Redbird Gorge is just 8 feet 6 inches wide, so that leaves me just 4 inches of clearance.
Wow.
I can just reach out and touch it. I feel like reach out and
There's a deer on our right here. There's a baby one up there,
There's another one.
up on top of the hill.
I can see. Okay.
There it is right there.
They're not afraid of these vehicles, are they?
Yeah. It's like
We pay those deer a lot of money to stand there all day.
Oh yeah, that's alright. Whoa.
And just like that, we've descended into Black Hawk Gorge, named after the famous Native American chief, Chief Black Hawk. Now, much of the duck trails we've been on today consist of old Native American hunting trails and stagecoach roads from the 1800s. It is said that Chief Black Hawk himself once traversed through this gorge over 175 years ago.
Start reading about us in Wisconsin. Native Americans.
Driver I am I to stop and see what was the matter. That little crying baby bear came up and told me, Kurt, all these big bears around here just keep beating and beating and beating me up. What should I do? So I gave that little baby bear the best advice I could think of at the time, and I actually told him to move all the way down to Chicago, Illinois, where the Bears don't beat anybody.
No, yun sila. Oh.
All right, guys, I'll come around and grab those red round trip tickets you got at the loading docks. If not, the hiking portion begins.
Oh.
Well, I'm only kidding. I do have some more fun stuff to show you guys here on today's tour. It's not the beer cooler. I'm sorry,
It's not over yet. It's from that.
But here at the docks, we also have a pretty unique set of postcards. I'll show you guys some of these here. In this set of postcards, you'll see a series of color photos of the Ducks in action today.
Mm-hmm.
If you look closer, you might be able to see some of your faces there. Along with 2 black and white photos of the Ducks in action back in World War II.
I thought those were
Your faces probably aren't in these ones though.
too. No. Unless you're that old.
Now in this book here, Old Trails and DuckTales, is more information than I could cover in probably 10 tours about the history of the Ducks here in Wisconsin Dells. Going on almost 80 years now.
Wow.
We're high.
Much more about the Ducks in World War II and how they were used. It's pretty cool stuff.
I know how they're used.
Used to carry big machine guns on these things instead of people from Minnesota. And a lot more history about the area we were on, the river, the lake, all kinds of cool stuff that we sadly can't go through this whole book on today's tour, but I'll go through some quick cool highlights here. In the middle of this book, right past these coupons, you'll see that photo of the breach of Lake Delton.
Mm-hmm.
This is right on the road we drove on there,
Mm-hmm.
along with the houses that it took with it.
Wow.
Pretty crazy stuff. On the next page are before and after photos of that lake breach and a photo of the lake completely drained. You could actually walk across the entire bottom of the lake at that time. They actually used a lot of the ducks you guys are riding on today to go and rescue people during all that flooding as well. And there's a lot more cool history about settlements in the 1800s on this very property, Native American legend and lore, and all kinds of way more stuff than I honestly didn't know in this book. And all the way on the last page, you'll actually see a map of all the duck trails I was supposed to take you guys on today.
Supposed to.
I think we did them all. Now, as some of you guys may have guessed, these books and cards here are for sale just like everything else here in Wisconsin Dells. But before you say, Kirk, let's finish up this tour, I'll explain a little bit. These books and cards are actually an incentive program by the Ducks management to ensure that us drivers give you guys the best tour each and every time we go out. In the heart of summer here, we take these trips 7, 8, 9 times a day, 6 days a week, all summer long. And as you guys might imagine, those jokes, they just get better every time. Yeah. Now, us drivers actually purchase these books and cards from the management with the hopes of selling them back to you guys, our visitors, And it's actually where we make most of our money as duck drivers. It's all the profits go towards your actual driver.
Wow.
But before we go any further, I'll also introduce myself a little bit here, so I'm not a complete stranger trying to sell you guys stuff here in the woods. My name is Kirk. I'm 21 years old, and this will be my second summer here as a duck driver. I grew up a few miles away here in the Wisconsin Dells area, where I graduated high school and then joined the U.S. Air Force, where I currently work part-time as air traffic control, and I'll be switching to full-time this next year when I graduate college to go to fighter pilot school. It's also why I drive fast.
Ah.
Now, speaking of college, I also attend the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, which is about an hour and a half up the interstate north on the border of here and Minnesota, where I just finished up my junior year as a business major.
Wow.
Now, back to these cool books and cards here. If you guys are interested, you can get the book or the postcards separately for $3 each, or you can get them together as a set of 2 for $5. Now, this 2 for $5 set also comes with some more cool stuff, including the most important photo. Yours truly. I know, it's pretty awesome, right? And then there's also an invitation to some sweet parties at my summer home. So if you guys have any questions for me about the ducks or anything else you want to ask, I'm all ears. Otherwise, I'll come from the back to the front. If you guys want the book, cards, or both, just let me know. Cash, Venmo, I'll even have one of those fancy phone credit card readers. All that works. And then I'll be right back on with our
Bili ka
tour.
$5 lang.
Now, on behalf of us all at the Original Wisconsin Ducks, I'd like to personally thank you guys for coming on today's tour, and I hope you have a great rest of your time here in Wisconsin Dells. Now, if you did enjoy today's tour, my name is Kirk, and you're riding on the Duck New Britain. If you did not enjoy today's tour, that's okay, and my name was Isaac, and I was driving Miss Wisconsin. Now, lastly, before we re-enter the loading docks here, please keep yourselves inside those steel green beams, and wait for me to get to the back of the dock. We'll unload from the back to the front. These statues once sat aboard the Chicago Building of Trade until 1932, when that building was redecorated by a stick of dynamite. These statues were then brought to the Wisconsin Dells area by Miss Helen Robb to decorate the grounds of her home, Dawn Manor. Now please keep Dawn Manor and these statues in the back of your minds as they will come up again later in the tour. So I guess what I'm trying to say here, folks, is don't take these statues short. Equipped with 4- and 6-wheel drive, coming in at 32 feet long, 8 feet 2 inches wide, 9 feet tall, and a slim and slender 7.5 tons. Kind of reminding me of my ex-girlfriend. Now, New Britain is capable of 10 to 11 knots on water, 45 miles an hour on land, and just the other day, hit a personal record of 250 miles an hour right off the edge of this cliff. Did we lose anybody back there? Now within